Nearly a week ago, I saw this tweet from at @mellowslang on Twitter where it's basically a screenshot of her notifications, and it was a text message saying, "Hi, this is Blank from high school. It's been years since we graduated, so I was thinking of hosting a sunrise this Tuesday morning at Blank Beach. Just inviting," and then obviously the message goes on. And this really opened a lot of messages to people, not messages, a lot of replies to people in the comment section below, where they were basically, going like, "Oh man, like this would be like a terrible nightmare," just like being like, "I could not imagine somebody from high school messaging me just being like, hey, you guys wanna like hang out, like just trying to see if y'all good to hang out at here, just to get together." And I completely understand, as a disclaimer, like that like a lot of people's high schools, like their high school careers, I guess if you will, were very different from each other. Okay, I understand that. So when I say what I'm going to say, I don't want to insinuate that like, everybody's high school, lives were the same, and then like you should be like, whatever, sure, else I wouldn't mind seeing everybody. Like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. Obviously, like, I am fully aware that like everybody had their own experiences, and if this would happen to them, like, it's okay if you wouldn't want to meet your old classmates from high school, and I fully understand that. But I feel like a lot of the time, right? And I'll just say this as somebody who had like kind of a mixed bag in high. Oh my god, who had kind of a mixed bag in high school. None of it really matters all that much unless people obviously like bullied you and harassed you on repeat and even got physical with you. Then yeah, I completely understand you not wanting to like go to like a reunion or like anything of like that magnitude, or just a little get together, obviously. But like just in general, I feel like a lot of people possibly might look back at high school and they'll just kind of like have like you know a vision that what might have happened to them. And it's just like, yeah, teenagers are very scummy, obviously, and I get that. But like, at the end of the day, I was an asshole when I was a teenager. I had my fair share of like moments I wasn't proud of when I look back at high school, where I was an asshole sometimes, and there were people who were assholes to me, and that's just the way that high schoolers are. My high school was pretty tame when it came to bullying, as far as I'm concerned. I didn't really see anybody like being fucking bullied or harassed like you see in the movies, really. Everybody really got along. There was like people who fought, obviously, once in a while. I've had my fair share of moments where I was caught in between fights, where fights just like literally happened, or like started right beside me. But like I never really heard of anything where it's just like, the teachers or faculty really had to like intervene and be like, hey, stop bullying each other, like, at all, really. So as far as I'm concerned, my high school really didn't have anything to do with that, and obviously that doesn't mean stuff like that didn't happen. It's just, from what I saw, my glimpses, there may have been people who were obviously lonely and outcast, but I was too, to an extent, so it's like whatever, really. But I didn't really see anybody like being picked on at all, really. So yeah, but a lot of the commenters and the replies of the tweets are saying like, oh my god, I cannot imagine like people from high school like messaging me. And it's like, if like somebody from high school would message me, right? It would be like, oh, okay, then, like, I didn't really expect this. But, like, if they're hanging out, like, it really does depend on who it is, right? Because, obviously, if it was someone who really fucking annoyed me, obviously I wouldn't want to hang out with them, obviously. Oh my god, I just as a side note, I'm sorry that I am so nasally. This is the third video that I've done while I was sick, and my nose is so nasally, and my dog is barking upstairs, so I'm sorry if you hear that too. But yeah, so back to the video. Yeah, so just me personally, you know, I don't have many people that I would consider like a huge no. I think, you know, if people from high school, like, even just like random people, right, who I never really spoke to, as long as I knew them and I talked to them on like a semi-regular basis, I would be like, alright, yeah, I mean, sure, why not? I will definitely hang out with them just to see how it would be, like, you know. But like, yeah, it was just like a bunch of like random people who I might have saw in like the hallways every so often, and you know, they just happened to be my grade, right? My graduating class. So even just like I knew them as well, but they were like a year or two before or after me. Like, you know, I'd be like, oh, I mean, maybe. Like, it really just does depend on how close I guess I was with them, or how well I was acquainted with them as well. But obviously, you know, that's just my opinion. I know there's just a lot of people sometimes who kind of view their past experiences as like really different, even though it's just like the most mundane things possible. And like, yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if my school is doing a reunion in the next couple of years, but really getting closer to that happening. I don't really know when those happen, like reunions for high schools happen. I think it's like probably 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know actually, but if it's like 10 years after graduation, then, you know, man, I am like 2 years away from that, which is so bizarre to think about and kind of just scary, to be honest. But, you know, if people were to message me about that and stuff like that, you know, I would go. I wouldn't mind going. I would be like, it would be cool to see people from high school. And to be honest, you know, I just miss high school days in general. I just generally miss the luxury of being like a high schooler, because of how little responsibilities you truly did have. Like, yeah, schoolwork was annoying, and, you know, having to wake up every day in the morning was also annoying, but you do that as an adult. And yes, while you do make money at your job, there's a lot of responsibilities at your job that you have to go through. And yeah, you do have a lot of freedom as an adult, like, for sure. But like, man, it's like, I do miss some of the mundane moments and like just low responsibility kind of days as you had as like a teenager when you were in high school, for sure. I do greatly miss it. And that's not me saying like, because like, oh, I miss high school because that's when I peaked. Like, I don't believe I peaked in high school as far as I'm aware, but you know, I'm just saying like, I do miss it to an extent because it's just like such a simpler time to me. Where like, yeah, to me at that time I was going through like a whole shit ton of things. But then I look back and it's just kind of like, man, I would rather go through those kinds of things rather than the things I'm going through now. And it's just, that's just how life is, obviously. Like, things you go through nowadays are not going to pale in comparison to things that you're going to go through in the future. and obviously that's just an obvious fact. But like, man, you know, I do miss it. I do miss it quite a lot. Because, you know, you do spend a lot of days of the week with the same people for like, you know, ever since really middle school for me. So that's like 7 years just down the drain when you graduate, and then, you know, you're just like, well, if we meet again, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I think that'll do for this video. You know, I'm going to stop because my nose is getting really stuffy, and I guarantee you I sound disgusting as fuck right now. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you appreciate it. Wait, what? Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed, I hope you appreciate it. No, I appreciate you guys if you enjoyed this video, is what I've been trying to say. And yeah, that's really going to do it. God damn.